Hello people. Welcome to the channel. My name is Elise. I hope you're all doing so good today. We are coming with a book haul, and it has been a while since I have done a book haul on my channel. It's been 3 months to be exact. So this is a book haul for June, July, and August. And partially that's because I'm buying less books, which is, I think, ultimately a good thing. I have a goal this year, as I have for the past several years, to match the books coming in and out of my TBR, and I'm finally doing a good job with that goal, and part of that has been buying a little bit less. I'm still buying books. I will always buy books, but yeah, not too many. There is as much here in 3 months as I used to buy in a single month. So that's progress, people. So we're gonna go through these books in the order that I bought them. So we'll start with June books and then move through August and go from there. So without further ado, let's get into these June books. So June is particularly light because there are only 2 books that I purchased in the month of June. And the first one is one that I had read previously in the year and loved it, so I wanted to own my own physical copy of it. I originally read it from the library, and that is The Center by Ayesha Manazir Siddiqi. This is published by Picador. I specifically imported the UK edition because I love this edition. I like it so much better than the US one, but because I had already read this, it doesn't count as coming in on my TBR because it's going on my red shelves, not my TBR shelves. So this one is a novel about a language center that purports to be able to fluently teach you a language in 10 days, but not just normal fluency as if you were a native speaker of that language. And our main protagonist finds out about the center through someone that she's dating at the time. You're only ever allowed to tell one person about the center in your entire life. It's strict NDA policy, very exclusive, and she decides to go to the center in order to learn Russian. Her career thus far has consisted of translating Bollywood films from Urdu, and she sort of looks down on that as a profession. She wants to translate a great literary work. So you're getting a lot about the colonization of language, which I often talk about with this book, and a theme that I adored in it and think it does really well, because she has a lot of internalized racism about her own language, and part of why she wants to learn Russian is because she thinks that that's where great literature comes from and is going to be more respected. So lots of interesting content about that. There's also the central mystery about how the center really works that you're trying to figure out throughout the novel, and there's lots of other great things about this, but the protagonist as a character I thought was so unique. She's selfish and naive and smart and just all around complicated, and I loved getting to be in her head. So that is The Center. I would highly recommend if you have not picked this up yet. The other book that I picked up in the month of June, I got just perusing my favorite local indie, which is Queen Anne Book Company, which I go to basically every month, and that is Living Things. This is by Munik Hachemi, translated by Julia Sanchez, and let me check. And I believe this is translated from the Spanish, because the author is from Madrid, but I know the translator translates from Portuguese, Spanish, and Catalan, so I think it's Spanish, but can either confirm or deny for certain. And this is published by Coach House Books. And it's a very tiny book with a striking cover as well. And this follows a group of 3 young men who are trying to work in the grape harvest during summertime after their graduation to earn some money, but there's no grape harvest that year. And they end up working in a series of nightmarish factory farming jobs. And I think they start realizing how lawless and inhumane everything is, but then it says, and increasingly menacing. So I do think this might have some horror-like elements to it. I am planning to pick it up in October because I'm assuming there's going to be some at least gory stuff and clearly something menacing. So yeah, I think that's an interesting premise and it pulled me in enough to want to read it. So I will be picking up Living Things very soon. And now we're going to head over to the July books. There are 3 books in July. And the first one is one that I'm so excited for, and that is Mammoth by Eva Baltasar. This is translated by Julia Sanchez, the same translator that did this one. And this one is translated from the Catalan. It's the last release in Eva Baltasar's triptych, like loose trilogy that has come out with And Other Stories Press. And I have loved both of them. So far, my slight favorite is Permafrost as opposed to Boulder, but I'm so excited for this one because the premise of this sounds like it could be my favorite of all 3. This one follows a young lesbian protagonist, and all of the protagonists have been young lesbians in all of the books. Not the same protagonist, but like there's similarities between all of them. And it says she's inexperienced, irritated by life, eager to gestate, and determined to strip everything else down to essentials. She seduces men at random and moves into an isolated farmhouse where she befriends the shepherd and the animals on the farm, and then she also starts to dabble into sex work. But the last line of this blurb is what really sells me, and it says, "This small bomb of a novel, not remotely pastoral, builds to a howling crescendo of social despair, leaving us at the mercy of Eva Baltasar's wild voice." And that just sounds so good. I'm so excited for this. I think this was supposed to come out technically in August, but I was able to get it early in July. So very exciting. I want to try and pick this up very soon. But yeah, and I love the color scheme. I love that all of the covers have a similar art style on them and show half of a silhouette of a woman. Just love, love, love everything about this series. So cannot wait. So excited for Mammoth. Next up, we have a book that I picked up at the same time as Mammoth. And again, Queen Anne Book Company making an appearance. They were having a sidewalk sale and this was in the sale. And so I picked it up. That is The Colony by Audrey Magee. This one is published by Picador. And I believe this one was longlisted for the Booker Prize last year. Was it last year or the year before? And lots of people I saw loved it, and the theme of language was really interesting to me and mostly why I wanted to pick it up. So I don't remember much about the blurb specifically other than that. Like I know there's a man who's coming to the island and there's a lot of opposing values that like he's bringing to the island as opposed to the people who are local to it. But yeah, because it was getting such rave reviews and I love books that focus on language, I'm really excited for this one. So that is The Colony. Also gorgeous cover. I mean, the cover art nowadays, so good. Like people have really stepped up their game. And that is also true for this next book, which has a gorgeous cover. And I should say this is a pre-order. Normally I do my pre-orders first, but we're all over the place today, so we're just gonna go with it. But this is Mystery Lights by Lena Valencia, and it's a short story collection published by Tin House Books. I am also planning to read this in October because these stories all, I think, have like horror or horror adjacent elements to them. And this was the only short story collection that I pre-ordered this year because I have been struggling to read through short story collections lately. So that says a lot. And on the blurb, it says that there's an influencer that attempts to derail a viral TV marketing campaign with her violent cult following. A marriage between 2 ghost hunters is threatened when one of them loses their ability to see spirits. And the lives of a famous painter in the twilight of her career and a teenage UFO enthusiast converge when a mysterious glowing orb appears in their small desert town. There's more, but those are the only 3 that I'm gonna read. Okay, it does say on the back that they are horror stories. So yeah, I'm excited to pick this up. And spoiler, I maybe even shouldn't say this because I rarely follow through on the video plans that I have, but I'm hoping to do a publisher taste test on Tin House books in October when I'm planning to pick this up. So very exciting, happy to have it, love this cover, so can't wait. And now we're into the August books. There are 4 books in August, well 4-ish, you'll see in a second, and 2 I pre-ordered, again ish, and then I have a gift from my mother-in-law. So the first one is Spy Family Volume 12. This is by Tatsuya Endo, translated from the Japanese by Casey Lowe. And Tatsuya Endo does the story and the illustrations. I love this series. A spy, an assassin, and a telepath make this found family, and they get into all types of hijinks together. So this is a little bit of the art style in here. And obviously this is the 12th volume. I will say there's a part of me that's questioning whether or not I'm going to keep continuing this series. I'm going to read this one and see how it goes and make a little bit more of an assessment, because they're starting to feel kind of formulaic, but I still enjoy them. They're just starting to feel samey. So we'll see how this one goes, and hopefully I love it and want to keep continuing. This one is published by Viz Media or Shonen Jump, and yeah, excited to read it. And this time the person on the cover, because that changes in every volume, is one of the spy people, so very exciting. Then I have 2 of the same book, so let's talk about this. I pre-ordered this book twice, accidentally. So here we go. We have 2 of them. And I rarely do this, but I did it this time. So I pre-ordered this book at the beginning of the year and clearly forgot that I had pre-ordered it. And then I also put in an order with Open Letter because they had a sale in August, I think, for Women in Translation Month. And it not only covered books written by women that had been translated, but also books that had been translated by a woman, even if they were written by a man originally. So I picked up 2 books in that sale, one of them again being a pre-order because it hadn't come out quite yet. And that book is Sensitive Anatomy. So I'm just gonna hold up one for now. This is by Andres Neuman, and it's translated by Nick Caistor and Lorenza García. This one is translated from the Spanish, and this is sort of taking on modern day beauty culture, but it's also taking on social media. And it says that it's told in 30 brief chapters. It looks like regular prose, but the chapters are very short. And it says that it's a book that questions how we see ourselves, how we are made to see, and what beauty really is. So I'm really excited for this one. It's super, super short. Can't wait to get to it. I am probably gonna get to it this year. So that is Sensitive Anatomy. The book's so interesting, I pre-ordered it twice. So there we go. I will lovingly gift my extra copy to someone else who will appreciate it. The other book that I got from that Open Letter sale is one I have been wanting from them for a while. And this was finally the push for me to purchase it. And that is Garden by the Sea by Merce Rodoreda. And this one, again, beautiful. Let me see when they originally first published it. So this was published in 2020, translated from the Catalan. Open Letter does a lot of books translated from Catalan, so if you're looking for that language representation on your shelves, they are a great place to find it. And this follows a group of friends over 6 summers staying at a villa by the sea, and we get to see their lives through the eyes of our true protagonist, who is the gardener that tends to the villa. She's a widower, and she sees them through a totally different lens, and she also is seeing them through the lens of a larger, more beautiful villa getting built next door. And I think there's like a lot of disillusionment going on, so I'm really excited for this. I've heard great things about this author, and I can't wait to get to it. So that is Garden by the Sea. And then lastly, we have a gift from my mother-in-law, which Thank you so much if you are watching. And that is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is published by Berkeley. And I now own every Emily Henry except for Happy Place. And they have all been lovingly gifted to me, either by my mother-in-law or my friend Kat. So very appreciative to them. And yet I have not read any of them. So I'm deeply sorry at the same time. But I am hoping to get to one of them this year, and A Funny Story might be a good place to start because I do think this premise sounds the most interesting to me. And honestly, Happy Place, the one I don't have, is the one that I would be least interested in. So I'm fine not having that one. So this premise, let's see, follows Daphne. Oh, and Miles, that's right. So Daphne and Miles are both in respective relationships at the start of the novel, and their partners end up leaving them for each other. So they end up connecting and deciding, like, for some reason their exes invite them to their wedding, which, like, how are they getting married so soon? But okay, whatever. They decide to go to the wedding together and I think pretend that they're dating in order to make them jealous, I think. So it sounds like a very fun, wacky premise, and I do love fake dating, as most people do. So I think this could be a really good fit for me. So yeah, that is Funny Story. So those are all the books that I bought from June through August or were gifted to me. Thank you again, mother-in-law. Let me know if you have read any of these and what you thought of them, or if you're interested in reading them and why. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.